I'd like to call this meeting of the Board of Directors to order. The time is 3:45 p.m. on March 19th, 2021. First order of business is our invocation. Denny Hill is going to share that with us.
We pray. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you, Lord, for all the blessings that you have given us. Our prayer today is that your will be done through this meeting, that what we have prepared and multiply our efforts as only as you can. We ask that you give us wisdom and understanding as we work through the needs of our Sandy Pines community. We ask this in Jesus' precious name. Amen.
I'm going to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay. Kimberly, are you prepared to do our roll call?
Ellen Carpenter.
Here.
Brian Ellen.
Here.
Jenny Hager. Here. Jim Hunt. Kelly Johnson.
Here.
Dennis King.
Here.
Larry Munger.
Here.
Paul Peppo.
Here.
8 present, 1 absent. Oh, I'm sorry, and Stephanie. Here.
Okay, our next order of business will be the approval of financial statements for November 20th, or November 2020 through February of 2021 for Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails. Jenny, do you have any comments?
Just the fact that we, the Finance Committee, a few of the members were able to meet with us at our planning session on Monday in the beginning to review the financial statements and the check distributions. And the few that were there, we did not have a quorum, but they did go ahead and approve November through February financial statements and check distributions for both entities.
Kimberly, could you give us a breakdown of financial statements for Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails?
Yes. We reviewed Sandy Pines and Lake Monterey for November 2020 through February 2021. So a brief review of Sandy Pines. I can review that one first, as that's the first motion. And overall, the financials for Sandy Pines through February 21 shows a solid financial position leading into the 2021 season. The few highlights we have: February 2021 cash shows a $1.9 million lower balance than prior year. However, with the $992,000 FEMA reimbursement that we actually just received this week, the middle of March, and also the $700,000 second FEMA reimbursement, which will be coming in the next month, our cash perspective today is $500,000 higher than prior year. The Charles Schwab investment account as of the end of February 2021 is approximately $40,000, or approximately 2.5% higher than prior year. The accounts payable trade does include the $529,000 of the PPP loan, and that is in its final stages of the forgiveness application. We're communicating currently with West Michigan Community Bank on that. Total net income as of the end of February 2021 is approximately $132,000 lower than prior year. But looking at the sales net profit and loss statement, you will notice there is a $151,000 sales deposit in transit, which actually brings the total net income for the corporation $19,000. With the committee, we did highlight specifics within each of those departments, but there isn't anything really further to note of concern or highlights at this point.
Anyone have any questions for Kimberly? I'll entertain a motion to approve the Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails financial statements.
Second.
All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And next, we will have some information about the Lake Monterey Golf Course. Jenny, did you have anything to add on the golf course?
Nope, the same, we reviewed the financial statements, check distributions for those months, and they were approved by the people that were in attendance from the finance committee.
Kimberly, could you give us some additional information?
Sure. The financials for Lake Monterey Golf Course as of February 2021, that does have a steady cash flow and is up 100,000 from prior year. Net income for February year-to-date is on target and slightly higher from prior year. This increase is specifically due to increased green fees, both weekend, weekday within public play and member green fees, as well as a reduction in certain expenses throughout the course. So we are on target beginning that season there and a good financial stance as well.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve the financial statements for November 2020 through February 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any questions on that motion or on the reports? Hearing none. All those in favor, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, our next order of business is the approval of the minutes from the regular meeting scheduled for December 11th, 2020. Did everyone have an opportunity to look at those? Jenny, I know you indicated there were some small typo corrections.
Yeah,
Okay.
didn't affect anything.
Okay, nothing
I
of
made
anything to
those
note.
for the final draft.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes from December 11th, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Are there any questions on the motion or on the minutes themselves? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate so by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Our next order of business is the approval of new park members. Jeff, can you give us some details regarding
Yes.
numbers and status of these new members?
Yes, so stats that we're going to talk about today are through actually today, March, they're going to go January 1st through March 19. We've had 23 new members to the park. We've had, out of the 23 new members, we've had 17 sales through the park, 4 for sale by owners, and then 2 transfers. And the breakdown of the statistics, the age groups are 23% of the members are in their 30s. 39% of the members, new members coming in, are in their 40s. 23% are in their 50s, and 15% are in their 60s.
Anybody have any questions about those figures? Okay, I would entertain a motion to accept these new members.
So moved. Support.
All those in favor of the motion to approve these new members, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Disapproving, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, the next item on our agenda are some comments from myself and then from Jeff. I want to welcome everyone to this Board of Directors meeting and remind everybody that we're approaching our 50th anniversary and we're planning some great events and celebrations that we hope will please our members. please keep in mind that, the pandemic restrictions may impact some activities, but the committee has been working hard to develop some fun things that can be done in compliance with social distancing, especially those that can be done outdoors. We're also looking forward to the opening of our North Shore Center, which will not only provide some protection during storms, but will give us some much needed meeting and activity spaces. I would also like to recognize and thank our staff as they prepare to get the water turned on and get ready for all of us to return to our happy place. And as we return, keeping in mind that there are still some things that are being done a little differently due to the pandemic, we need to show patience and kindness towards our staff, and threats and intimidation towards them will not be tolerated. As we move forward into this camping season, just take a few minutes to be grateful for all that God has provided us, and remember that many of our activities and celebrations are staffed solely by volunteers. Our committees also consist of volunteers, and it would be wonderful if we could have more volunteers, especially some of our new members. It's a great way to get to know people, learn how things work here. And we do need everybody's help. And the board is going to be working through some issues that are not the easiest to resolve, but I'm confident that we're up to the task and we're going to act in the best interest of the membership and the assets of Sandy Pines. Okay, Jeff?
Yep, no, well said. Thank you, Ellen. Some comments from my side. Again, as Ellen stated, 50th Anniversary Committee is doing a phenomenal job, both putting some activities together for us to hit all age groups this season as we celebrate our 50th. We also are really watching the budget, and they are doing a phenomenal job at that. The sponsorship and the fundraising has slowed down a little bit, so I encourage anybody that hasn't, please log on to the website, take a look at the sponsorships. Our goal was about $75,000. We're still right around $30,000, and we do open in less than 30 days, and this is really to fund these events. So take a look at that, and then for those that have provided sponsorships to us, we thank you for that. A lot of good feedback from the members and our contractors that do business in the park, as well as our partners that we do business with outside of the park, and we thank them for that. Cart Bridge project update. So we have had lots of discussions on this. We do have a finalized, approved drawing and plan that was reviewed with the road commission and the county, and bids were sent out, and we're trying to get those costs and timing so we can better educate the membership on what this may entail. Plan is to get those all done by the middle of April, the bids, so then we can take in some additional information and share with the board and the membership and make an educated and informed decision. Our IT project is moving along quickly, and so this is to replace some of our old antiquated software systems that we have. We are in the process of selecting a company called DPT Solutions, and that will they will marry all of our systems up through what's called Dynamics 365, which is a Microsoft product, and that will greatly increase efficiency for our team, get us needed data that we need, not only to run the business, but a lot of the members ask for a lot of this data as well. So the plan is we will start the behind the scenes work during the season, and then start with the implementation process this fall during the off season. And new signage. So as of today, it's beautiful and sunny here at Sandy Pines. Probably not as warm as many of you are in Florida, Arizona, and in the South, but we do have some brave golf carts flying around here. And we've gotten comments on some of the new signs throughout the park. Ben and the team have done really a good job with some composite signs, and look forward to your feedback. To reiterate some of Ellen's points about how the staff is going to be treated this season. Again, we're planning on less COVID restrictions, but we never know. And just patience and grace in that, treating the staff, and we will have some signs posted on expectations on how the staff will be expected to be treated at their posts, mainly in the administration office and public safety. And the last item that I have that is not on the agenda, for those of you that are away and may not have been aware, Sue Flowers, our member service manager, she did put in her 2-week notice 2 weeks ago. Today was her last day. She's taken a job that is closer to where she works, and she's taken a new journey in her life, and we were blessed to have her for 4 years. She's done a phenomenal job. Many of you have dealt with her up front at member service, and we're in the process of looking for a replacement for that position. We won't have a replacement for Sue because she was awesome, and we will miss her, but we wish her the best of luck in her next journey in life. And that's all I have.
Okay. Under old business, we have asked the Lake Study Committee to kind of give us a synopsis of some of their proposals and studies and try to help steer us into some good decisions regarding the improvement and maintenance of our lake. Stephanie?
Okay, so just kind of reviewing what was presented at the board meeting last September. The proposals from the Lake Committee are as follows for the board to consider. We are hoping that the board will consider placing buoys around the perimeter of the lake, anywhere from 75 to 100 feet from shore in the areas that are not already marked. This would just reiterate the rules, the handbook that Sandy Pines has out there stating that boats need to stay that far away from docks and seawalls. This would also allow for other recreational activities to happen during our busy times on the weekends. So wake, paddleboarding, kayaking, and just a safer swimming environment around the lake for families and kids. And again, that is a reiteration of the rules. Boats are supposed to stay that far away from shore. It's not a new rule in the handbook. It will also help to prevent some of the damage that is being done to seawalls and the shoreline by keeping waves further off of the shore. The buoys are up for debate, and that would be something that would be, if the board decides to move forward with that, what style buoy, if we want to stick with the buoy that we see already placed in the water by the beaches and by the no-wake zones, or if we would want to switch to more of like a round mooring buoy style. There's a cost difference. The buoys that we have existing around on the lake are about $550 a piece, whereas the round mooring buoys that you see are around $100 a piece. And then there are some additional maintenance that would go along with those, such as anchoring to the bottom of the lake. We're estimating anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 for that project, depending on buoy style. The next proposal that the committee would like the board to consider is a proposal for 2 additional wells. One would be placed in phase 3 and one would be placed in Sailboat Cove. We have heard and seen the complaints of the members as far as water levels go and stagnant water. We feel that adding 2 new wells to the lake would help increase the freshwater flow, increase lake levels, And also that fresh water would bring in freshly oxygenated water, which would increase our fish population and create for just a healthier environment overall. The cost of that project would be around $100,000. We have a bid from Raymer Wells. They are the company that services our existing 4 wells. They approximated each well cost at $44,990, making 2 wells around $89,980, but that's an approximated cost. So I would. Sorry, let me get to my own. Was the third one gonna be Dallas? Is that what we're gonna?
No, I'm
Rip
gonna,
wrap. Oh, yes, rip wrap, sorry.
Rip
Yeah,
wrap.
okay, I'm like, where did that one go on my, I'm like, there was something else and I can't find it. Okay, erosion control. Thank you. So the proposal last fall in September was for riparian work to be done by the chapel and around the corner from the ice cream shop where our lake study from 2019 highlighted high erosion on the lake. Since then, there has been a discovery that the dam would probably take priority to those areas. So we would like to propose for riparian work to be done along the dam where there has been some erosion highlighted by an engineering firm that obviously the dam takes priority. We want to keep our lake for as many years to come as possible. So our proposal would be that the board and the president extend bids to local companies to get us quotes for riparian work along the dam. And if possible, maybe a quote for by the chapel,
By the chapel.
you know, just to kind of see where the price comes in at, and we can pick and choose that. And then I also wanted to highlight some of the things that we have done, since we did meet all last summer, every week, once a week. The members of the committee were extremely dedicated. Most people met in person, but some virtually logged in. Some of our accomplishments were, this summer we plan to have PSO presence on the lake on Saturdays and Sundays to encourage and enforce good boat etiquette and safety for all families, no matter what their recreation activity is on the water. We also are implementing new signage at the ramp, at the boat ramp, that just highlights the invasive species that can come in. Invasive hitchhikers is what they're called, that can come in on your boat. And then also highlighting lake rules. So no wake after the time specified in the handbook, and no alcohol consumption while you're on your boat, those types of things. And then we also were able to amend the rules in the handbook for no wake at night, where previously it was stated 10 miles per hour or less. That has been changed to no wake. And then finally, the continuation of the committee for the summer of 2021 was approved in after the board meeting in September. So we plan to continue on through this summer. If anybody would like to join in that has a say, we would appreciate it.
okay, thank you, Stephanie. And we'll
Oh,
continue.
I could say the newsletter too.
Oh, yes,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah, so the, thank you, Jenny. The April footprints and footprints from here on out will have a little lake corner in it
Okay,
with tips and tricks on how to best take care of our lake.
Right, and to Stephanie's point on that,
Yeah.
a lot of the education, right? So that is, take a look at your footprints going forward. Stephanie and the committee will be putting great tips out there and great educational items out there as to, how to treat the lake, some of the things that we you think of runoff in our yards and things of that nature. So all of that impacts our lake, and great educational piece for us. So thank you on that.
Jeff, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Will the park be pulling permits for any riprap put down?
Yes, the park would, if the board goes forward with these recommendations, then again, we will get the costs of the bids. And we have two options. Either the park would pull those permits if we decide to do the work, or we can put it in the scope of work to have whoever we outsource pull those permits, and that would be part of the cost of putting that riprap in.
Then the second question would be, would you allow members to fall under those permits so that if a member wants shore erosion protection in front of his lot or on the lake shore in his area, that they could pay for it if the board does not include them in their overall assessment?
I think we could have an open discussion about that. I don't have an answer for you right now.
Yeah, there's specific rules to that.
Yeah, we would.
They have to present, we had to present our own drawings and everything to Pointingwell DNR. So I don't think, in my personal opinion, that the park needs to incur all that extra activity. But good question.
Right.
Good question. Jeff, could you clarify a little bit about the permit process that Larry was talking about, who we get the permit from?
Yeah, so when any kind of work touches our lake in the surrounding area, we have to get a specific DEQ permit. And back to Kelly's point, that permit needs to highlight the project scope, who's going to do the project scope, what are you putting into the lake, what are you taking out of the lake, and there's specific parameters that the DEQ will be looking for, and you have to provide a drawing of the area that you're going to impact on the lake and what you're going to be doing to that. And then they will either approve or reject that, and then there's obviously a cost for that permit. So that process is, if any member wants to do their own work, they have to make certain that they get park approval to do the work, and then part of the park approval is you have to submit your project so we can get it on a DEQ permit. And then the DEQ permit and the costs would be the members. Does that make sense? Any
Yes.
questions on that? Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anything else, Stephanie?
No, I think that's it.
Okay, thank you. At this time, we're going to hear from Kelly Johnson about the gazebo rule review and update.
Yeah, thanks, Ellen. Last fall, we received numerous emails from our members requesting us to look at the current rules for gazebos, and currently the rules state you can only have one permanent and then one portable. And so we signed that over to the Rules Committee so that they can investigate and give us recommendations on possible changes. They came back with some recommendations, and one of those recommendations would put us back in line with what the state campground requirements are, in that you cannot have permanent structures in the campgrounds. So we'll be making a resolution to remove that verbiage, and I think we're going to change it to solid structures. And then the Rules Committee tried to determine if changing the verbiage from one solid structure to two instead of one and one, how would that affect us here in the park? They came back with a recommendation that we also allow two permanent are two structures and/or one structure and a portable. So they thought it would be it would work. So they presented it to us. We had a discussion on that, and we're going to, Ellen is going to read a resolution change, give you an opportunity to share your thoughts over the next 30 days, and then
I think
we'll.
we're going to.
All right, we're going to vote on it
Yes,
tonight. Okay,
we've talked
because of
about
that.
this.
Okay,
Yeah,
my
we'll do
fault.
that later on in the agenda. We'll read that, but we have, over the past, I think Jenny said it's been several years.
Yeah, since it's first come up.
Yeah, this has been discussed and members have written in and members have expressed their
That's right,
opinions.
my
So I
fault.
think we're prepared.
Yep,
We're prepared to vote on that a little later on in the agenda.
okay.
Okay, now we're going to move on to new business. Jeff, could you give us an update on the sales team and structure?
I would love to. So again, sales team has been restructured, and we have two new members down there. We're doing a lot in the sales department. We have two new team members down there. Liz Robbins, who came from outside of Sandy Pines, she is our sales manager, and Kent Livingston, excuse me, is our sales person. And he came from our maintenance group. So many of you probably know and have seen Kent's smiling face around as being part of the maintenance crew. Some things that we've changed, we've reduced the commission for sale. It used to be 7.5%. We've reduced it to 6%, based on some market data and information. The 6% range is more favorable and kind of equal to where the market's at. We've also taken feedback from members and removed 100% commission sales with the sales team, because the thought was that drove some different behavior and not equal representation of the members that had sites for sale, whether they were a $200,000 site or a $10,000 site. And with that being said, I'll be honest with you, we've gotten a ton of feedback on this. Kent and Liz are doing a great job. We're working on some member orientation products and ideas when new members buy in. And we're also looking at a virtual, basically a virtual tour of the sales department back there. And it has done so well. Ken has done such a great job. We're struggling for inventory. We have more people coming into Sandy Pines requesting to buy in. And I think last fall, we started with about 60 listings, and we're down to about 6 or less. And so if you know of anybody that is thinking about selling, pick up the phone, have them call Kent. Great feedback on what Kent's doing out there, and he'll sell it for you. He'll get a good price, and all is going well down there. So anybody have any questions on that?
No.
Okay.
Okay, next in our new business, we want to talk about a proposal for the sale, the caterer sale and serving of alcohol for special events. Jeff, could you give us some information on that?
Sure. So some of the feedback again from members at the end of the season and really throughout the season has been, has the board or would the board be willing to entertain special events with alcohol? We know that right now the bylaws state that we cannot do that. Alcohol is limited to your site only. And some of the requests have been with the new North Shore building, can we start having weddings there with beer, wine, alcohol as a reception afterwards? Or can we just hold the reception at the North Shore? Have a wedding at the chapel and then move to the North Shore for the reception. One of the biggest challenges with that is the liability to Sandy Pines and getting a liquor license for Sandy Pines. And we are not suggesting that. We are suggesting that we have limited caterers that will come in and cater an event. They hold an alcohol or liquor license for a 24-hour period of time, and they own the liability. They can serve the alcohol. We definitely, now there would be some ramifications to Sandy Pines for that from an operational standpoint. More PSOs would have to be around the event to make certain that things are going well. But, this has been brought up, I would say, for the last year or so. And so the board is willing to, start taking some feedback on this from the members, and I think seriously entertain. This would be limited scope, and again, special events. We've talked about a beer tent, at the end of the season. It's not going to be a free-for-all, but we will entertain a limited scope thought, I think, on this.
What we're looking for is for member input over the next month or so. We have to craft language for the ballot and it has to be done before June. So what we're looking for is input from the members, and then the board will consider that input. And then we will craft, if things are good with it, we will craft ballot language and vote on it in the general election in August. So please, send those suggestions and ideas to the board of directors email, and I will be setting up a special folder and I'll plop those in there. And when we discuss it, we will take everybody's feedback into consideration. Okay. The next item on our agenda has to do with some information provided to us at a previous meeting by the Lake Committee regarding ballast votes and some of the possible impacts to the lake bottom, things like that. As a board, what we're considering are putting some policies, rules, and possible restrictions on the use of ballast boats in our lake. And again, we want your input and opinions. We are not prepared to just vote on this, not considering anybody. At our next meeting, we will be working on some kind of policy, and we really invite all of you that have an opinion on this to politely submit those emails to the board of directors email address, and we will take those into consideration. Our next item is we had some discussions in the off season, and we had an email poll on some of these new members, but we are voting to approve new members for the Rules Committee. Kelly, do you want to speak on this a little bit before we do a motion?
Yeah, we had a number of members off our Rules Committee for their own reason deciding they can no longer serve. And so we had 4 people that volunteered to serve on the committee. Those 4 being Tim Hall, Tony Spalding, Linda Brown, and Drew Torres. And then we also have Dave Hires, who is willing to serve on the at-large subcommittee. And we were kind of short there too, so.
All right, I would entertain a motion to add these members to the Rules Committee.
So moved.
Second.
Are there any questions or comments on this motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please indicate so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Aye. Those opposed to the motion, please indicate same sign. Motion passes. The next item in our new business is a motion to approve a new library committee. As most of you know, we have a wonderful library, and it is staffed currently by volunteers, and they commit their personal time to shelving books and keeping the facility in order. And the board has discussed over a period of time that it might be nice for these people to have a little more structure and a little more, I want to say guidance, but somebody kind of looking out for them. And this really came to my attention over the past year or so. I'm a member of the committee for the North Shore building, and the library will be moving into that building. And I have been working with some of these volunteers to make sure that, you know, their needs for furniture and shelving are being met. And it came to my attention that sometimes when they need things, they're not quite sure who to go through. We also need to have record of who is on that committee, who those volunteers are. And we also are right now in need of more volunteers, so more committee members. I don't see that committee meeting formally more than maybe once a year or so, but it will give them good structure and help us to keep them getting what they need. Everyone loves that library. We want to make sure we support them properly. I would entertain a motion to create a library committee.
So moved.
Second.
Are there any questions or comments on this motion? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate so by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Our next item of business under new business is a motion to approve additional lake water boating fees up to and including boat stakes to support lake study recommendations. As you heard, we are in some desperate need of some upgrades, some improvements, new wells, riparian work, those kinds of things. And all of that is an additional cost. Part of what the Lake Committee talked about too was, you know, the testing and the treatment. And years ago, the fees, the sticker fees for different things were put into place to help support that testing and treatment of the water. So in our discussions to support these new proposals for improvements and maintenance, we have decided to recommend or ask the admin, since this is an operational decision, to look at the sticker cost for lake stickers, land stickers, lake stickers, including boat stakes, and things like kayaks, the non-motorized, to raise some funds to support this needed work. I'll entertain a motion.
Well, before you go, I think it's important that, that the members know that currently the fees we're collecting now through the stickers are basically used to cover the costs that we are doing now with the treatments and everything. It's really close. So in order to do everything else that we need to keep our asset going, we've talked about what we're going to make a motion on.
Okay.
This is not going to be totally the increase to cover everything. Is that correct? It's going to be a portion of what is needed to work towards and making the lake better?
It would be, all of this work is going to have to be done over a period of time.
Correct.
So it's not going to be like next year, everything's going to go up and they're going to do all the work at once.
I just don't want boat owners to think that everything's now going to be put on them, that they have to straighten the whole lake up and everything else. When there's everybody, every member loves the lake in one means or another. So I just want to get that understanding. That's not going to be the sole support. There can be other things coming up that's going to help support the lake. I think rock laugh you're talking about.
Yep, so what we can do again is, we've got a good list of starting points here that Stephanie and the Lake Study Committee presented. If you add those up, they're roughly $250,000. And that doesn't include additional operational costs for 2 additional wells on an annual basis. So what we can do, again, during the budgeting process is bring forward recommendations. Because I don't have an answer for you right now, Dennis, as to what other areas that we can
Could be looked at.
branch out and take a look at. We're gonna have to, here's the list that the Lake Study Committee gave us, and here's the recommendations. Everybody uses the lake, I understand, so we'll try and spread it out as best we can. But that would come through the budgeting process.
Right, and what we want to do is create a basis for some funding so that we can go ahead and get moving on some of these projects.
And I also want to mention that just the list that Stephanie read, that's just the top things that are like, we want to get these going as soon as possible. But your list is longer than that.
Yes.
And so there are other things
Correct.
that we will continue to hopefully be able to implement over a span of probably a lot of years.
A long
A lot
time.
of,
And then again, and then maintain that and, the operating cost of the wells. And it's not just a one and done thing. And that's why we're looking at doing some increases so that we can bring the money in, not all at once, but over a period of time.
And it's not going to all fall on one group of people
right.
that way.
And it's important there's been a lot of misinformation on the social medias where right now we're like, for example, I have a motorboat that the sticker's $80. But I don't pay anything for having a stake. So a lot of people are under the understanding, are thinking that $80 is attributed to a boat stake. And I just want to make sure everybody understands that right now, we don't pay anything on a boat stake. And yet we charge the dock owners a substantial amount to be able to use a dock. So we're looking for ways to not ask for an assessment, because none of us want an assessment, but we all realize that the lake is our number one asset that we have in this park, and we need to get it back to where it used to be and be able to maintain it at a reasonable cost. And so.
Yeah, I can add that the shoreline will be a constant cost
Yes.
as we go forward and looking to protect our shoreline. We have a lot of work to do. The 3 areas that I highlighted are just the tip of the iceberg. And so, I would love to see shoreline erosion control around the whole lake as well as we can do it. But yeah, there's a lot of cost.
Okay.
And just to add to, I forgot to mention that the 2 wells that we would like added are in Sailboat Cove, are in phase 3.
Okay.
Just so the membership knows.
Okay.
I would like to make a motion for operations to provide recommended adjustments of fees related to lake usage, such as, but not limited to, land stickers, non-motorized boats, kayak stickers, lake stickers, and boat stake fees to be reviewed and approved at our annual budget review.
All right, second.
Second.
Any further questions on this motion before we move forward?
Can you read it again? Somebody write it down.
Okay, I would like to make a motion for operations to provide recommended adjustments of fees related to lake usage, such as, but not limited to, land stickers, non-motorized boat, kayak stickers, lake stickers, boat stake fees, to be reviewed and approved at our annual budget review.
Thank you.
So I'm just recommending that we take a look at that when we do our annual budget review for operations, to take a look at that.
Any other questions? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, I'm gonna get a quick drink of water before I have to read all this. Yeah. I'm getting old, you know. Okay, what we are going to consider in this resolution is what Kelly was discussing previously to kind of clarifies and cleans up some of the language and allows people to have two gazebos, not permanent, but they can be portable or what was the word?
Solid
Solid structure. Okay. All right. Resolution number 031921. Whereas the bylaws of Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails Incorporated, Article 8, Section 6E, gives the Board of Directors the power to adopt, amend, rescind, and repeal rules and regulations relating to the use of Sandy Pines property and the conduct of its members and their guests, whereas Sandy Pines Handbook permits addition Section 3 items requiring permits, subsection P states for both pergolas and gazebos may only have one permanent structure and one portable structure per membership. Whereas the Board of Directors for the Safety, Health, and Welfare of Sandy Pines believes it is in the best interest of Sandy Pines to amend and clarify the rules and regulations relating to both pergolas and gazebos at Sandy Pines. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Directors of Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails Incorporated does hereby approve the following amendments and additions to the rules and regulations relating to pergolas and gazebos at Sandy Pines located on Sandy Pines Handbook, page 41. Handbook Application Rule and Regulation, Permits Addition, Section 3, Items Requiring Permits, subsection P. For both pergolas and gazebos, may only have two structures per membership. They may be solid structure and or portable, which is defined as non-affixed, easily carried away, and or removed. Be it resolved that the Board of Directors of Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails Incorporated does hereby approve the above resolution. Kimberly, can you do the roll call vote?
Do we need a motion?
Oh, yeah, we need a motion on this. Sorry. Kelly, did you make the motion?
I did.
We have
Support.
Dennis King,
Yes.
Larry Munger,
Yes.
Paul Peppo,
Yes.
Stephanie Stefano. Okay.
Yes.
Alan Carpenter,
Yes.
Brian Ellie,
Yes.
Jenny Hager,
Yes.
Kelly Jess.
Yes.
Alice Ruth.
Our next item on our agenda are member comments and written questions. Jeff, do you have some information for us there?
Yes, I have many. So one thing I would like to say is hopefully we can start getting people back in person. So we stop doing the email write-ins because I know I'm going to miss somebody. And if I do, I apologize. Feel free to give me a call or send me another email. Inspector hours. So we've had a lot of write-ins in regards to Jeff Hopkins, our park inspector. Because this winter was such a mild winter, except for the month of February, where we had some record snowfall here. There's been a lot of activity in the off season. If you take a step back and remember when we had Ralph here, Ralph was not working during the off season. Our park inspector was part-time, and the full-time inspector job was really March 13 through about Thanksgiving, and then Ralph would be off. When we hired Jeff Hopkins, we made that a hybrid role. During the off season, he would work in maintenance for Ben because he came from Ben's crew and is doing a phenomenal job as park inspector. But he would have just Fridays in the office as park inspector. and that was something new to try and accommodate some of the buildup during the off season. He is returning full-time starting next Monday as park inspector. So I know there's a lot of questions about, hey, when can I get a hold of him, processing of permits. He has been working Fridays to try and keep up the demand and process everything starting next Monday. He will be Monday through Friday, his regular park inspector hours. So thank you for the question on that. Question number 2, phase 3. Thank you for the reply. I just wanted to ask you to bring something up to the board regarding phase 3. Can we get a pickleball court or a shuffleboard court in phase 3? So great question. And what we are going to do, we've also had some requests for tennis courts in that area. So we have limited spots in phase 3 as to what we can do. We do have something of this nature in the budget. I've asked Ian, our new marketing and communications manager, to kick off a survey starting hopefully next week to start getting some feedback from the members on what do we want? Do we want a pickleball court? Do we want a shuffleball or a shuffleboard court? Do we want tennis courts? And then we'll have to take that feedback and whittle it down, because right now in the budget and space-wise, there's we can't do all 3. But great question. And then once we get that data and that information, as Ellen, I think, alluded to earlier, we still have a lot to do, even though we've been doing a lot in the off season. And last year we did not have a board meeting in April. We are going to have a board meeting in April to try and get the remainder of some of these things resolved before we get into the swing of the season. So we'll get the survey results. We'll share them at the April board meeting, and then we'll start putting a timing together on a project for phase 3. So thank you for that question. Question number 3, and I have 3 people that emailed this question in. Again, political signs. We had this discussion last season due to the upcoming election, and you know, there's more requests to stop flying political signs in the park. Again, our rule book, which is page 20, posting of signs, those rules were written for our Sandy Pines elections, as I understand those rules. So, you know, our candidate, our proposals, anything along that lines, those were written for the board of director and any proposals, assessments, things of that nature, posting of those signs throughout the park, on your golf carts, things of that nature. From a political sign standpoint, whether you're a Joe Biden backer or a Trump backer or whoever, the park will not get into censoring what you can and cannot put on your porch or on your golf cart. With the exception, we did have some vulgar signs due to language and other images and nature that we did have PSO address and remove off of property or golf carts. Now, with that being said, if you are flying a Joe Biden sign or whatever, a flag or whatever you want to fly on your golf cart, you also have to realize that it cannot hinder the operation of that golf cart. You have to have clear, visible access, so you're not a hindrance to the golf carts around you while you're driving. So thank you for those write-in questions as well. We'll reiterate the same position that we had last year. Let's see here. we had questions about buoys, which again, I think will be addressed with some of the proposals on buoys as far as, how many are going to be put in the lake and what are the distance from the shoreline and things of that nature. So we're still going through those plans right now. One, gather the costs. Two, how do we fund it? And then three, how do we actually implement that? And then when we start getting down to implementing some of these projects in the lake, we will start educating and communicating appropriately. And again, I think we did a good job last year with presenting items 30 days in advance so people can start digesting it and asking questions. And we'll continue to try and follow that process this year. And then I think the last question, which was a great question, it was more a request from a new member, and we love this from new members. And, how do I volunteer? How can I help out? So again, we've talked about committees. Committees need volunteers. If you want to volunteer for a committee, you can contact the administration office, Kathy Brott, and she can give you a list of committees and the committees that have needs for some open positions. One thing that we are looking at, and part of the Lake Study Committee, is the patrolling of the lake. And I'm ashamed to say, but it was pretty much non-existent last year. We did have some presence on a couple of holidays. Other than that, not so much. When you look at the Public Safety Office statistics, their call volume last year increased over 100% for most of the months. So Keith and I have taken a look at the workload and what's being done in the Public Safety Office, and there's a lot of good work that needs to be done, but not necessarily by Keith's patrol team, handing out guest passes, answering some phones, checking in campers and things of that nature. So we're looking for volunteers directing traffic on our night parades for Christmas and things of that nature. We're looking for a lot of volunteers to help out in the Public Safety Office. So that would be probably the first place that I would raise my hand and say, we need help there. From what I understand in the past, there was maybe a little hesitation to accept volunteers due to the nature of the litigious nature of what's going on today. We do have a volunteer waiver that we have had volunteers last year in different areas. We welcome volunteers. Sign up on the waiver and we'll put you to work. So I think that's the last of the questions that I've had. Again, if I missed anybody, I apologize, and either give me a call or shoot me another email and I will respond accordingly. Any questions? From the board members, any emails to the board that I didn't happen to get or address?
No, but I want to touch on the volunteer issue again. I think over the past 20 or so years, we've kind of gotten away from the use of volunteers. But, looking back, if you look at old footprints from years ago, this park was built on volunteers. And we should try to get back to that. I know, a lot of people come here just for their relaxation, but they need to understand that in order for us to have some of these fun activities and some of these other things like the library, we need to pitch in a few hours here and there. And it doesn't take a lot of time, but we really do need volunteers.
Right. One last comment is we did bring in some of the new staff members and introduce them to the board during our work session on Monday. We do have a lot of new faces throughout the administration staff, public safety, things of that nature. So one of the things that, we did get an email on is, can we get some pictures of people and who they are and what do they look like and what where are they located? Are they in public safety? Are they in recreation? Are they in admin? So we will start having and my kids laughed at me because it sounded like school, but we're going to have a picture day at Sandy Pines, and we're going to start taking pictures of the staff, and then we're going to put that out on the website, and we'll start circulating that with faces and names. And we have a lot of new members as well, that even if we didn't have new staff, may not have known who to contact and who to talk to and where they're located. So we'll start that. And the plan is to get that rolling by no later than May 1st. I want to get that out hopefully by the end of April. So.
Want to mention anything about the North Shore building?
I'd love to mention the North Shore building, Dennis. Great question. North Shore building is almost to the point where we can take a walkthrough and take occupancy. We are looking at still on track to take occupancy of that the end of this month. And what that means is all the work should be done, and we can do a walkthrough with our state and local representatives, show them the building, have a sign off on it. We will have furniture delivered probably the second week of April. And then one thing that we may also put out is a survey to the memberships. We need to keep in mind the lower level of the activity area. What are some of the things that we want to try and put down there? Because again, the purpose of this is to gather, but it's also to have a storm shelter in case of an emergency. So, ping pong tables, I think cornhole, indoor cornhole boards were some recommendations. We'll put a survey out there as to what kind of activities we want to see in that bottom floor. But we had some supply chain hiccups with elevator and windows. That's been resolved. It looks fabulous, and we'll try and get some updated pictures out on the website. But we should be ready by April 15 to have people start walking through and taking a look at that. So.
Hey, Jeff, I had one that was emailed in kind of late, but it was requesting information, kind of the status of the PSO office as it relates to golf cart license plates. We don't need to have the exact specifics right now, but, kind of looking at how many have already registered and picked them up, how many need to do that, when is that going to be available? So maybe some sort of an announcement or rave update or whatever the case may be to alert the members as to where we are in that process.
Nope, good idea. I believe Steve and/or Keith will have that updated in the April footprints. We ordered roughly 8,500 license plates, so you have a front and a back, and about 27 to 30% of the members picked those up last year. So we're going to extend that expectation date of when those need to be on and visible to the end of the season. And the end of the season is it Labor Day? Is it October 15? It's still kind of hanging out there. But when we get a specific date, we basically have the rest of the season to get those license plates taken care of. So.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Any other questions?
Yes, Jeff, am I going to be allowed to put my resolution on the agenda?
We did not discuss that during our planning session, and that's one of the reasons that I scheduled an additional board meeting so that we can discuss that and put it forward in the next meeting, if that's what we decide to do.
So therefore, I can't apply it this time.
No, not at this time. We really need as a board to be able to discuss that at a planning session. That's why I scheduled an additional planning session and an additional board meeting.
It'd be awful hard to hold that vote on the 29th of May by having not holding off the discussion until the middle of April. You have 30 days to put the mail in the mailbox. And I figure you at least need 6 weeks before the
I
vote.
understand what you're saying. That's why we scheduled an additional meeting. You know, we don't even have complete information to put forward for a vote. So we need to, you know, get together next month and discuss it fully and openly, and we'll see where we're at. I think there's plenty of time.
I disagree, but I have no other choice.
Okay, well, we'll take your opinion under consideration, but that's what we tried to do, was schedule an additional meeting to accommodate that.
Any other questions?
No, I don't feel we have enough information. We haven't even gotten bids back yet, so it could be a moot point. We don't even have bids back in order to make a sound decision at this point.
Right.
So I think we need to gather all the information, and if the bids do come in higher, then for me, the decision was made by previous boards, and I believe that they made a decision based on the information they had, and probably was a good decision. I'm not going to ever disagree with the previous board's rulings, but it may be, if it's that much higher than what we anticipated, then I might ask for additional information to prove the point in order to justify taking it. So, but I don't think we have that information at this time, so I agree, it needs to wait a month.
I would agree as well. Thank you. Thank you, Alan.
Yes. All right, anything else? Okay, thank you everyone for participating in a professional and civil manner, and I look forward to our next meeting.
I make a motion that we
Gotta make a
adjourn.
I just want to
motion.
leave. I'm making a motion, I always forget that.
She's gavel happy.
I have a new toy. Okay, we have a motion to adjourn. Can I have a second?
Second.
No discussion on that motion. All in favor of the motion to adjourn, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now I can do it.
All right.
I was waiting for a little hesitation, but man, you move like lightning.
I'm ready to go.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Thank you all.